I want to talk a little bit on the difference between working on your business and working in your business. It's 8 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and start. Jim is going to record this just in case we get any nuggets. The thought process here is if we capture something really good, that we can edit down the video and kind of show people what they missed this morning. So first of all, thank you for being up early. I know a lot of instructors, especially those that teach at night until 10 or 10:30 at night. God love them. I can't even stay up that late anymore, much less try to teach that late and be effective. But it's always tough to find a time that everybody can attend without months of notice. So we appreciate you guys being here. We may have a few other people pop in and pop off as the morning goes by. So we're certainly open to discussion. So basically what this is it's an opportunity for you guys to talk about what's going on. It's really not organized in any way, shape, or form. If you're having issues that you've dealt with in the classroom or outside of the classroom, if you got concerns about something that the Real Estate Commission is doing or that another instructor is doing, this is an opportunity to kind of discuss those things. I'm really just kind of putting myself out there as a resource to try to answer questions. And when we've got this much talent in the room, I think let's see, based on my quick math here, I think we're probably somewhere around 200 years of teaching experience with the 7 people that are in this room. So there's a ton of experience in here. So to kind of start with, I want to talk a little bit. One of the things that I hope to focus on in these going forward, and by the way, this is not going to be a one-time thing. We're going to do this hopefully on a consistent basis if we can find a time where people can attend. But one of the things that I want to talk about for instructors that are the smaller schools, that 1 to 3 person operation. I'm not talking about the big mega companies, but I want to talk a little bit on the difference between working on your business and working in your business. We all excel in the classroom. We've got the great delivery and things like that. Sometimes there are challenges though that in terms of filling a classroom, for example, when you've got a power of a company like Canopy or Superior behind you, you walk into a classroom that's got 35 or 40 people sometimes. But for smaller companies, that can be a bigger challenge. We have a lot of instructors in this state that are teaching to classrooms that may only be 5 or 6 people in a CE class or even a pre or post license class. And that can be some of the most challenging situations to be in. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to build your business, how to grow it. Those of you that know me know that I love to teach people to reach the next level in their careers. I've been a coach for about 25 years at this point, in addition to being an instructor. And so again, with it's not just me answering questions, trying to pretend I know it all. That is certainly not the case. But you've got a group of people on these calls that can come together with a lot of information. So I see that Aisha Richardson has joined us. Good morning. Glad to have you here. Taryn Colson, good to see you here also. And it looks like Sandy Williams is logging on. I think we've got a couple of other people joining. There's Leslie Helton. Good morning, Leslie. Grab a biscuit, grab a coffee, and we'll rock and roll here. So that's very good.
Sounds
very good. So let me ask you guys, my first question out of the gate to you is, what are you seeing in terms of the number of students interested in in-person classes again? Are we seeing are people over Zoom and tired of it and wanting to get back in person yet? Or are people still a little nervous about being in the classroom and still sticking with the Zoom? What is your experience? Just unmute. This is a meeting format intentionally so that anybody can unmute at any given time. So just tell me what you're thinking.
I'm teaching. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, say,
Kim.
I had my first in-person class scheduled this week. I was going to do small private class for a local company. Going to do update one day, elective the next day. And the day before the class, the broker in charge called and said one of her agents had COVID and was wondering if that agent could join by Zoom while we had in person. And I have not attempted to be approved for a blended class, which is what that would require. And so fortunately, I was able to say no because I didn't want to go into the office and teach if one of them is out with COVID. Has anybody else been exposed, that kind of thing? So last minute, we switched to a synchronous Zoom class. And so I don't know how in person's going to do for me. I missed my opportunity this week.
Gotcha. Okay. Jack, what you were adding something in. Go ahead.
Right. I teach live classes in Little River, and I teach all day when I go down there. And I've been teaching those, for a right good while. Everybody, I'm with Southern Choice. Southern Choice doesn't have the big classroom anymore. It's all pretty much Zoom. But we do, but Southern Choice does do live classes. I found down there that I get a fairly loyal group of people that like the live classes. So I just taught a class last week, and the room was full. I mean, they're in South Carolina, so I have different rules down there too. Right. And we had some distancing, but nobody wears a mask on it. But but I think a lot of people like the Zoom. I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go down and teach live class. That same class sitting here where I am right now, I can get up at about 7 o'clock and teach it. And but it's all about the student and the different environment. And just to finish up here, when I do a Zoom class, I'm just as out there talking to the students and joking with them and that kind of stuff, and I get interaction from them the same way I do in the classroom. So either one of them, I don't see any. I get a good following on the Zoom as well, and I think it's up to us to which one how we make it. But everybody likes the Zoom because you don't have to get up and drive there and all the stuff that goes on there. And so I
Absolutely.
I think we're headed to a hybrid where we are.
Yeah. How many people are you getting in your in-person classes, Jack?
Well, down there, the most they can have, and I had 15 in that class. And I had 16, 15 in one class, 16 in the other. Okay. That was the largest one because up to now they had been doing more spacing, but like I said, in South Carolina, they're pretty much wide open down there, and so it's a little different there. But that's what I typically get down there, and that's all the room.
Gotcha.
I probably get in the room. Yeah.
All right, Taryn, I see that you're on here. Do you have the ability to unmute and talk to me? I'm interested to hear how many people you have in your classes at Surrey Community College. Are you able to unmute? Are you where you can talk?
Hey, Brian.
Hey, man, how are you?
I'm good. You? Yeah, I got
doing
14.
14? Okay.
Yeah.
Has anybody taught a class bigger than that? Because I've had 3 or 4 classes where I've had between 25 and 35 students, and I had one that actually had 53 in it. Has anybody taught one that big yet? It's been kind of interesting. Terry, how many are you getting from in your in-persons?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Zoom. I had 65. What I'm finding is it's about a 60-40 split. 60% want to get back to live classroom, 40% want to stay on Zoom. I think there is going to be a future of that blended learning type environment, where maybe you're live and you also have some online element. And I'm not sure exactly how that looks, but look, first of all, we're social creatures, right? I mean, I think people are going to get tired of being isolated and being home by themselves. And I think pre-licensing students particularly are finding it harder to stay focused on the material when they're not surrounded by their peers and they don't have that peer pressure. So I think I think we're going to see that going back to live. I could see post-licensing staying online. Mm-hmm. It's a different word, but I think and like I said, about a 60-40 split. And I think that's just as COVID sort of fades into the background somewhat, I think we're going to see that desire to get back into the classroom more. If I could add one more thing real quick, I think one thing that new instructors that I would like to see try to help them with is you and I don't know what the other folks here, Kim, I know has a ton of experience, and so does Malia. The rest of you folks, I don't, well, Sandy too. Can you imagine teaching pre-licensing without having the benefit of doing it in a live classroom where you get that instant feedback as to whether you're connecting or not? Because, when I teach on Zoom now in pre-licensing, I know where the funny lines are because I've done it enough in the classroom. I know where the tripping points are going to be because I know, I've done it enough in the classroom. But if I was a brand new instructor and I was never live in a classroom, and the first time I'm teaching is on Zoom and I've got this Brady Bunch boxes, I don't know how I could get better as an instructor because I won't know where I'm losing them, or not losing them.
Well, and I think that's the biggest challenge with the Zoom classes, because what I ended up doing, all of this, and you guys that know me know I typically just teach CE. I haven't done pre-license or post-license probably in a year and a half.
The students appreciate that.
Exactly. So, but the interesting piece is I've gone back to my CE courses. I've completely rewritten the CE courses because I redesigned them for the Zoom format, because and everything that I'm writing new right now is being written for the Zoom format, because I found that it's much easier to transition from Zoom to live than it is to transition from the live aspect to Zoom. And the interactivity pieces are a whole different ball game.
Okay. So, Brian?
Yeah.
We are having to do the exact same thing. All of our classes have been taught via Zoom since March of 2020.
Right.
And we have no demand for in-person classes at all. Our pre-licensing classes range from 50 to 160 students. That's the current one we have right now, a night class. But even our post-licensing are pretty good size too. And what you're saying, it's very true. We are having to, you cannot teach a Zoom class the same way that you were teaching an in-person class, and vice versa. So we have had to redo our entire presentations and exercises and activities, and just get extremely creative with whatever Zoom provides to us as resources. So breakout rooms and, just whatever it is that we have available, and other softwares to make the class more interesting. I heard someone said earlier, we're losing our students. They're just not interested because they kind of tune off. But it really depends on, you have to throw so many different things at them to keep them engaged. And that's what we have done. We have had to redo our entire class, and it's horrible.
Well, and one of the best comparisons I had, I was talking to a friend of mine that's a trainer, a national trainer for Keller Williams. And he said that, the people that always want to sit in the back corner of the classroom so that they can kind of hide from the rest of the class, everybody is able to do that on Zoom. And that's a great comparison for it. And that's where, when we're in a live classroom, we have the ability, I don't know about you guys, but I'm never standing still in a live classroom. I'm walking through and I'm going to the back and looking over people's shoulders when they're doing the exercises in the class. That's a lot harder to do in a Zoom format, but it can be done. I don't want that to sound like a negative. It just takes more work. And I think that, my biggest challenge with teaching on Zoom for the last year and a half, the difference in how tired I am from teaching a 4-hour Zoom, I am more tired after 4 hours on Zoom than I am after a double CE 9-hour day in person.
Yeah.
Because I'm working so much harder to keep my energy level up, sitting here, changing the screen from, and I don't know, I think it was Seth Carlson that posted either yesterday or the day before with his layout for his teaching. He's got that screen switcher instead of having to stop share and reshare. There's part of that is engaging. One of the things that we learned in the DREI training is to black out your screen strategically because every time that screen does something, you're refocusing people, you're getting their attention again. And so you have to do that with Zoom the same way that you do it with the blackout button. So that's switching to and from the share screen. You know, if I wanted to do something and just get your attention, I could sit here and show you my calendar for this week all of a sudden for 2 seconds, and then boom, we're back off of it. I've just re-engaged everybody that's sitting in front of a computer. Something so simple. You know, you've got the polls that are built into Zoom. You've got the poll everywhere type situations. You know, Matt Davies doing the Kahoot. That's kind of his thing. You know, my problem is I don't have enough time to prepare the Kahoot, but I've learned how to do the poll everywhere and the polls and things like that. So I had a real hard time retraining myself and getting comfortable being uncomfortable with new systems and trying new things, because it's so much easier when you're in an in-person class to try something new, and if it fails you can flip on a dime. If you try something in Zoom and it doesn't work, everybody's silent and there's zero feedback. So Terry, I saw your hand up. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, real quick. Can you tell me more about the screen switching you just did versus sharing?
Yeah, so what there are a couple of ways to do it. What Seth does, and understand, Seth, I think I counted a total of 5 monitors that Seth had in addition to an iPad. And what he does is he runs all of them into a video switcher. And for those of you that are interested in researching this, I'll give you where you can go to get it. There's a company called Sweetwater that's out of Chicago. It's sweetwater.com. And they have this video switching equipment. You can basically bring the TV studio to your computer. You've got the fades in and out, the same way that you would do a transition in PowerPoint, you know, the sweep of the screen or the slide up. You can do those with one of these video switchers. And so you can plug in an iPad to one of them so that you know, a lot of people use the iPad to write on and they're able to show that on their screen. And then you may have a camera from this side that shows you and this side that shows you. Something as simple as changing the angle of the camera that you're teaching from. You know, most of us are sitting, it's kind of like, think of it in terms of looking at an MLS listing. If you see 10 MLS listings and 9 of them have a photograph of the house from the front door showing you elevation A, but there's one that's got the drone photo that's showing you the different angle, which one is your eye drawn to? Does that make sense? It's the same concept. So don't be afraid to change your angle once in a while, you know, and do that kind of thing. This switcher enables you to do that, Terry.
Is that what you did? Is that
no,
what you
I am not a high-tech redneck. I'm a low-tech redneck. So I just use the screen sharing.
Okay.
And what I'm hoping, one of the things that I would love to do is I want to get my video guy over to Seth's house. And I want Seth to actually give us a tour that we can share with other instructors so that they can see the kind of thing that's going on. Now, my guess is, knowing Seth, is that he's probably got a recording studio set up in one of his bedrooms at his house. And so it's a little more complicated for those that don't have that type of space to dedicate to it. But again, it's a matter of how far you want to go. You know, that may be overboard for somebody that's not teaching, but, you know, maybe 300 students a year to spend $10,000, $12,000 on equipment. But it's an option. And that's the kind of thing that I'm wanting to expose here. You know, so put it this way. How many of you had never heard of Sweetwater this morning when I gave you that? Would most of you? So you've learned something this morning, and that's the goal of these discussions is to get something that maybe you didn't already have. So that's kind of what I'm looking for going forward with this, and it's been really good. So Sandy, what are you doing these days? Are you mostly Zoom, or are you doing any in-person classes? You're on mute at the moment, sweetheart.
I have been totally on Zoom, but on the schedule for January, assuming that the holidays don't have some kind of super spreader thing. I'm on the schedule in January to start a live pre-license class.
Okay.
And of course, if something happens, we can just switch it over to Zoom. But we're going to do that. And I have no idea if anybody signed up yet, I have no idea.
Gotcha.
Check back with me at the conference at the summit.
Well, the other nice thing about having Zoom, scheduling the live classes and having Zoom, there will be no, as far as I'm concerned, at least with my classes, there will be no such thing as a snow day anymore, because the commission has enabled us. I've talked to a couple of folks over at the commission, and if you've got an in-person class scheduled and something happens with weather, they will allow you to switch it over. If it's done on the same day, they have to manually go in and do it. But if it's the day before and you're just switching it, the system will allow you to do that. So they've definitely taken that into consideration down in Raleigh on Navajo Drive. And that's a good thing. That really helps us as instructors to be able to do that. Obviously, my teenagers don't like that because they're pissed that they won't get their snow days from Wake County schools. But Dad's kind of happy about that, to be honest with you. But so what other things would you guys, we've got about 8 minutes left here, and I'm going to go right up to about 8:29, and then I'm going to log off because I know you guys are busy. What other kinds of things would you guys like to discuss on these calls going forward? Because I don't want to just plan things that I think people want to hear. I want to know what you guys want. And if I can bring in an expert, we'll do that. So are there any thoughts that you guys would like to hear? Jack, I saw your hand up. I'll let you speak first.
Well, a couple of things. One, this quick statement here about the live versus the Zoom. We've really divided into two markets. We have to adjust to the markets on that. That's the main thing. But on the things I'd like to see is on setting up the studios. I've been a musician most of my life. And I know pretty much how to handle something like that. But but we really have to be prepared to set up a studio, lighting, sound, all the things we're talking about. And with technology now, we can do it any way we want to do it. So I'm interested in that part of it. And I'm also interested in Brian, particularly you, where do you see our industry going in the future?
Yeah, I've been asked that question a lot. In the last couple of weeks, especially with the Zillow and Zillow backing out of iBuying. And I've got agents that I'm coaching because I coach agents across the country as well as consult for other companies. And one of the owners of a company in California called and says, "This is great. Now that the iBuyers are out of the game, we're in good shape." I said, "Wait a minute, who said iBuyers are out of the game? This is just Zillow screwing up their business model. They're just shutting it down for right now. They're coming back again because this is too big of a cash cow. The only problem is they didn't keep up with their data quick enough." And
they know what's coming down the pipe too. They may not want to be buying things right now.
Correct. But the other interesting piece is as I've been teaching to all of the folks I talk to, Zillow just verified your value as a realtor. They just told you a computer can't walk through a house. An algorithm can't empathize with people. A function or some string of letters and numbers and HTML code, there's no way that they can feel when somebody is stressed in the process and be able to handle it. So that's the advantage of the realtor being there. We're going to be process oriented as the future of the business goes forward. You get and see Jack's kind of like dangling the bait in front of me because he knows I love to talk about this because I love my trends and I watch stats every day. You guys would laugh at me. I'll actually let me see if I can get this stat sheet up that I follow. I've got the companies that I coach here in the Triangle area. Let me get this back up. So I'll share my screen. This is how geeked out Brian is. This is my data sheet for the number of daily listings in the Triangle MLS every day. I try to log on to this at least 4 days a week. Now, if this is the third quarter and the fourth quarter of 2021 that we're looking here. So you can see that I've got the date, the total active listings, average and median days on the market, average and median list price. That's for active listings. Then we break out in these two sections, This is the resale information with average and median days on the market and the number of active resales. Then we go over here and we track the resale pending. And then over here on the far right, we are tracking the total pending that includes new construction. So just to show you how weird Brian is, let's go up in this spreadsheet. There's 2018, there's 2017, there's 2016. Yeah, Brian's weird, you guys, because I love watching these numbers and seeing the stats. But when you watch it and you see what's going on with all of this type of stuff, you can predict what's going to happen. And that's what Zillow's trying to do. Zillow did not get out of iBuying because they think the market's going down. They got out of iBuying right now because they overpaid. They need to liquidate their inventory, and they want to do it by the end of the first quarter because Zillow's annual revenue report is due April 1st. How appropriate, Zillow's revenue report is due April Fool's Day. I'll let you insert your own joke there. But they want to liquidate everything so that next spring they can begin to buy again. And most of the iBuyers are trying to buy between a 68 and 73% equity in, or a 68 to 73% value or purchase versus value. So if the house is worth $300,000, they want to buy it between 205 and 220, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's where they're targeting. They're working just like the flippers that call you and say, "Hey, Jim Rule, I see you own a house at 123 Happy Hollow Lane. I'm interested. Would you be interested in a cash offer?" That's their script. And when you say, "No, I'm not interested in that one," they say, "Do you have any other properties?" These guys do the work on the phones better than most real estate agents do. But that's what they're doing. And so it's not that they're completely walking away. Open Door, it has a 2.3% market share in the Triangle MLS. From looking at numbers from some folks down in Charlotte, in the Canopy MLS, Open Door's got about a 1.4%, if I remember correctly. So they're making some progress. They don't need everything, but what they're beginning to do, Open Door is beginning to represent buyers. They're paying buyers agents $18 an hour to show property. That's where the business model is going, Jack. And the scary part is, as we continue to see profits eaten away with buyers agents only being paid 2% by builders, or in some cases, a flat fee of $3,500 for a $500,000 townhouse, or a flat fee of $5,000 for an $800,000 single family home. With the assault on the commission and the fee structure is there. So realtors are going to have to be better at presenting that buyer agency, and they're going to have to adapt to handling the process. They're going to be much more, North Carolina realtors are going to be much more transactional activity than we are as representatives. Now, we'll still be representing people under law, but we're going to be managing processes for people very similar to the way that real estate agents in Florida act. Down in Florida, you don't represent anybody. You're processing the transaction because you got an attorney for a title insurance company for the buyer, an attorney for the title insurance company of the seller, and they're the ones handling all the legal stuff. We're just basically a gopher as an agent in Florida. So I think that's the biggest change that the real estate business is going into. And I think that Zillow's walking away right now is a catalyst for a lot of change. The other thing that Zillow could do, and I'll just put this one in your head before we call it a day, Zillow and CoStar both have formats, as well as Realtor.com, that they could create a national MLS very easily. And I think the next assault that we see is going to be on membership in the National Association of Realtors, because there are 1.6 million realtors in the United States right now, and 2.1 million with a real estate license. And I think that if you get a national MLS company like CoStar, who's already got formatting for it with their commercial database, imagine if they were to take 500,000 agents away who no longer had to pay $535 a year to be a member of the Board of Realtors, no longer had to pay $150 a quarter. So they're saving $1,200 a year. Instead, 500,000 people now pay CoStar $50 a month. That means that CoStar's got $25 million a month in operating gross income. That could be very interesting to watch. CoStar, Zillow, Realtor.com all have that capability right now, so it could be interesting. Jim?
Just a real quick thing so we can talk about it next time.
Yep.
a lot of people are interested in their Zoom studio, and Jack brought it up. Just something to think about, folks. A great Zoom studio does not have to be high tech, and it does not have to be expensive. In fact, I would recommend you not spend a lot of money, because then you have to learn how to drive it, and it's not easy. I think about what your requirements are. What are your wants and needs? And then I can help you recommend some things. To me, a good camera and cheap lighting. And if you can afford an extra flat screen.
Very good. Gang, it is 8:32, so I'm over my time. I don't want to waste your time. I know it's the most valuable thing you have. Thank you for being here. Hope you have a great day. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you the next time when we do Coffee Talk. Bye, everybody. Have a great one. We're going to talk a little bit about how to build your business, how to grow it,